as Eli Manning stays on his feet. It is caught by Tyree.
Welcome to Catch the Moment podcast. I'm your host, David Tyree, back for another exciting episode. As you can see, it's just your boy here. There's no guest, but I promise you we're going to treat it like it's game day because I got some free game. Every week you're checking in here to get you through that process, to get you through that pain point. And listen, today's going to be really, really dope, man. I'm going to give y'all we talk about network. And here's been, like everybody in life, in business, and ultimately whatever you're pursuing, you might hear like nice cliches, which are true, like, your network determines your net worth, or, you're only as good as the people that you spend time around. Well, in relation to the network, today I'm going to give you at least 10 keys to building a strong network and in and around networking. So I'm gonna just get right to it, man, because that's what we're here for. I'm gonna give you, it's game day, but I promise you, it's free game, and we're gonna put you in the game. So obviously, what is a network, right? It's basically the relationships that facilitate your destination, your goals, whether it's in life, in sport, in business. It's the people that are helping you get to that final destination, whatever we've determined that to be, whether it's in a particular season or whether it's throughout your entire life, right? So the first thing I want to talk to you about building a network is, number one, you got to be hungry, but you can't be desperate. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Hunger is a real thing, and I think ultimately it's like when you're hungry, you got to eat. So when you're really hungry, you stop everything and you actually focus on what you're going to do to quench the hunger. But desperation, it causes you to do things that might be out of character. It might make other people uncomfortable, and I think people can sense, one or the other. Hunger is typically personified by some sense of persistence, right? So being persistent in the pursuit of the relationship or gaining these relationships is something that's really, really powerful. So let's be hungry, but let's not be desperate, right? There's some things to be desperate for in life, but ultimately, when it comes to building a network, you want to have that persistence. Number two, be open, right? So what I mean by be open, meaning oftentimes, whether you go to a true networking event, whether you just find yourself in a space where you can meet people, you may have a desire. You meet someone, maybe they own their own business, maybe they're in marketing and you're in marketing. It's things like that where you try to find those common ground, the alignments. Maybe it's the interest, right? But ultimately, when I say be open is don't determine what the final resolution is in the particular relationship, right? It's kind of like be open to the idea that maybe you or the other person could offer you something other than what you have found on the surface. So ultimately, this is something that could be really valuable because you know what? They may be a car mechanic, but they may know their brother may be the CEO of Hootsuite, right? It's just, these are the things that you never know. So be open. And that's number two, right? So it may not be the person that you meet in that moment, but it may be someone that they know. So don't try to draw the quick conclusion when you find yourself engaged with someone. Number three, look for ways to add immediate value. When you're talking about networking and pursuing particular relationships, it's really important that you bring something to the table, right? It's like, I think we have a selfish end. And once we understand that, you can only accomplish, there's a cap on what you can do by yourself. This is the importance of building a network, recognizing the people within your network and being intentional about it, right? But you have to look for ways to add value. What can you do in relation to the people that you have met that is actually helping them? And this is where, how relationships are really cultivated, right? When you talk about it's the intention that we're giving to these relationships, but ultimately, everybody wants to be valued, right? And I feel this in my own life experience, whether it was an athlete, as a front office, whether it's your salary, et cetera, or whether it's, have an opportunity to grow, you want to feel someone make a deposit into your life and not always withdrawals. So when it comes to building your network, look for an immediate way to add value. It might just be, it might just be asking a question. is there something, going on in your life that I could assist with? It could be, man, they need a new dog groomer. You never know, right? Just give some thought to it. So here's number 4. Be friendly, man. Jokers walk around here all grouchy. Some jokes is just too deep and serious. Just, hey, I'm on a mission. Listen, be friendly, right? Be likable. Give eye contact, right? Give eye contact. It gets uncomfortable sometimes, right? So these are some of the things that are, what happens is people can discern whether you or other individuals are comfortable in their own skin, right? And I think everybody likes someone who's friendly, who's warm, who's engaging. And that's when we talk about being likable. He who desires friends must first show himself friendly. Okay, so that's a real good game proverb. Like if you're looking to increase the relationships in whatever measure, you might want to take on some sense of likability. Maybe, we get the introvert, extrovert conversations. Who cares? If you want to be an introvert to the point where you're unwilling to engage, just understand there's going to be limitations to what you can do or accomplish because we all, in the human experience, have our own limitations, right? So be friendly. And being friendly means, you're going to hear me say this often, take interest, ask another question, right? Don't just ask to your own end, ask another question, right? So it's things like the smile, it's things like the eye contact. Even if it's digitally, maybe you might be, hitting folks' DMs, hitting them, in a respectful way, right? Just trying to connect with people because that's what this is all about. Well, maybe it's you liking and commenting and sharing. If you find most people actually, somebody's paying attention to that. And man, this dude's showing me love. Who's this person? So that's another way that you could actually, help to build that network and establish rapport with people that may be able to help shift your life, shift your dynamic. Because when you take interest in others, it's like a seed that's being deposited that's going to actually bring forth some fruit for you at some point. So that was number 4, be friendly and be likable. Number 5, here we go. Show up, man. Show up every time, right? So and when we talk about building a network, and when I say show up, it means I have a very simple formula to long-term success, and I'll give it to you. Be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, follow instructions, right? I'll say it again. Be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, and follow instructions. Half the work, right? 2 out of 3, 66% of the work is understanding where you're supposed to be and when you're supposed to be there. So show up. And ultimately, that is what establishes integrity. That's a whole nother conversation. So if you say you're going to be there, right, be there. And the next thing that you can do is come with a great attitude. So to me, that's what allows, that's what separates people is the people who respect time, who respect people's time, who respect people's efforts. And you do that by showing up. And it's kind of like whatever you have to bring as a part of a team, that's your skill set, right? Whatever your skill set is, whatever your gift is, whatever your competency is, whatever you're good at. But if you never show up, we don't get a chance to benefit from whatever you bring to the team, whatever you bring to the organization, whatever you bring to the networking event. This is how you're going to build a strong network where people consistently see you operate in a vein where you can be trusted in some measure. Okay, so that's number 5, showing up every time. Number 6, you hear me say it, take interest in others. How can you serve? So it's very similar to what I said, how to add value, but this kind of goes the next step, whereas you're intentionally looking to add value to the others. Meaning when you take interest in others, you're actually preparing yourself to reap something on the other end. There's very few people in life who don't need a lift, okay? So it doesn't matter how much money they have. It doesn't matter what their life or their interests or their successes may be on some end, because ultimately, even when you find success, it actually means you have more to be responsible for. So it's kind of like, you have a child. Oh, snap. Oh, now I got to take care of the child. So everybody celebrates, but they don't see the full measure of what you've inherited by that gift. So it is a gift, it is a grace, it is a responsibility, but the same thing in business. So everybody needs that lift. So when you take interest, you're positioning yourself above maybe others who might just be there for the free game. It's you being able to give where you never lose. And that's what I tell people. I tell my people, my disciple, whoever it is, the people who are on the inner circle of my life, if you never lose when you give, whether it's money, whether it's time. And I think the only thing that guards that is the attitude that you show up when you take interest and give of your time, energy, and efforts, right? So that was number 6, taking interest in others, right? So I hope y'all follow me. I'm more than halfway through. I'm starting to feel it. I got to keep my notes open so I can keep rocking. So here's another good goal for you, right? It's number 7, especially in relation to like a networking event, right? It's set goals on how many people you actually want to connect with, right? So let's just say you're in a ball and a gala. I was just at a dope, amazing event for Black Enterprise, 40 under 40. Meaning there were 40 people being honored under 40 years old. And so that means it was some hitters up in the building, right? And, I'm somebody myself. I feel good about myself, feel good about my resume, but maybe there's a number of people that I'm sure that I could have connected with who have added some value, maybe more value than that. Maybe I could have added them, right? But ultimately, you can't run circles around the whole building trying to make sure that you get a picture or you connect with everybody. Just make a goal. Determine I want to connect with 2 people in a very direct and intentional way. So when you go to an event, when you find yourself in a and this is mostly for the space where you recognize that there may be an opportunity to engage with unique or interesting people. That's really what this is focused around in relation to building your network. Set a goal and don't make it monumental because you'll run yourself ragged. You won't be able to actually pay attention to the engagement when you do engage with these particular individuals. So set goals on how many people that you want to connect with and try not to make it a burden. Try to actually be present, right? Be present in the moment, even though you're being intentional with the opportunity to engage and share who you are, what you do, and why you might like to connect with these individuals, right? So set goals on how many people and don't make it a burden. That was number 7. Number 8, okay? Try to remember one thing about the individual. Now, this is one of the biggest challenges in my life, and I actually do it, and I'm not always successful. When, as a former athlete and someone who's accomplished, a lot of people have the unfair advantage of either knowing who I am or, once they heard my name, they may recognize who I am. Like, that ain't fair. You ain't got to work as hard as I do. You meet a lot of people, and most of which you might not actually meet them again. And so you could be in events, whether it's I'm doing a meet and greet, whether I'm doing a signing, and I actually like people. Like I like really want to figure out what you do. So I'm one of those. I don't consider myself a celebrity because I don't live a celebrity life. Like, if you want to, trust me, hit the website, David Tyree 85. I work, right? So I work for everything I get. There hasn't been too many handouts. So, but in everything that even every celebrity get to some extent they're working for, it just comes easier. So back to the topic at hand is we talking about try to remember one thing. So I try to be very intentional about the name. And so the way that I do that is if you say, hey, my name is Denise. I say, okay, how you doing, Denise? And so I try to repeat it back immediately so that I can formulate at least an inside track of memorization if this is somebody that I really want to remain engaged with. And if there's another point of conversation, I may say her name, Denise, again. Why? Because I'm trying to cement it in my brain so that they understand that I took the time to value them in light of the fact that they shared it. And I actually try to, whether they're from Puerto Rico, whether they're from Africa, I want to actually learn how to pronounce people's names properly. So I'll slow down and I'll say, could you pronounce that for me? Why? Because I realize that a name is something that's sacred and valuable, and I want to actually learn how to pronounce it to show that I'm actually interested in them. Right? So that's just one example. Try to remember one thing about the individual. They may share with you some other cool nuggets. And, the next time you connect, you say, hey, man, I remember that was a really unique story. and people will begin to appreciate that. So number 9, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. So what's the point of networking if you're actually not even going to follow up, right? Now, like we hear this everywhere all the time when we talk about either building a network or networking. And ultimately, the key word in networking is work, okay? It's work. Let me help you understand. I have met tons of people. I know tons of people. I know ownership at the NFL level. I know Leroy from the block. Like, real talk. Like, that's the lifespan of my breath. And ultimately, if I'm not engaging in those relationships in some capacity, right? In some capacity, then how are they serving me in relation to what the realm of possibilities are and my goals, in my business, and my interests? Because if you don't know what they're doing, then you won't be able to connect any dots to be able to find a way to add value to them or vice versa. And ultimately, the follow-up is what begins that process. So working the network is actually what makes the network meaningful. It's actually what makes the nest of relationships meaningful. And that's actually what fortifies and builds value, because all the value is actually in the people, right? We put the value in the job or the job title, but the value is actually in the people. So this number 9 is really essential, because the emphasis on the follow-up is the work, network. No, it's the working of the network. It's the follow-up. It's and like I said, depending on what the opportunity is in the relationship, it's the diligence and the persistence that is going to crack open those doors and avenues. Hey, listen, if it's cold, it's cold. You may have to move on. Doesn't mean that you can't revisit at some point, but if it's cold, it's cold, but you got to move on. So follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. So here's number 10. Be authentic. I could have led with this, right? Be authentic. Ultimately, mature people will begin to discern motives. So I kind of led with the be hungry, not desperate. But this right here kind of synthesizes it, meaning like be true to who you are. Everybody has a goal in where they're trying to get to. And the reality is, even for me as a business owner, I'm not where I want to be in relation. I've accomplished a lot, but I'm in a new season as a business owner, and ultimately, even in many cases, as an innovator. Like, there's some things about my life that I've learned that I'm actually far more of an ideator. I have tremendous ideas and have to find ways to execute on those, right? So I've discovered this in the last 3 years, how interested I am in building something from the ground up. So be authentic. I can't sit up here and act like I've arrived at the final destination when I'm talking to everyone. I know how to pitch vision, cast vision, and share certain things. I'm mature, been around the block for a little bit. ET3, truth, transparency, transformation. That's who I am. So I'm going to tell the truth. So I'm not going to be inauthentic in any expression when I'm engaging with relationships. And I think that's something that people will value and appreciate in your goals and your efforts to be successful, right? To get great done, to move toward that road of fulfillment. And I think that's where all of us want to be in relation to our goals, our accomplishments, whether it's athletic success, whether you're going to be able to come across people that you see value and you believe that they can help you get to where you want to go. And it's your authenticity that will speak more than anything. Something as simple as, hey man, I just need help. That's actually attractive, man. That's attractive, man. So just saying, you know what? I want to do this, but I really don't know how to do it. That's authentic. The majority of people understand that because that's where they've been. So anyone who's been successful has known that they needed a lift from someone else. So you can go out here and talk circles around somebody, cast the vision of how beautiful this is, and this is Web3, and we're about to change the world. Hey man, that's cool too. Just make sure that that's actually what it is. So be authentic in the expression. And that was number 10, be authentic. So here's the last little polish up, because this was meant to, just to be a quick hitter. No guest at the orange table today, but it's always game day at the orange table. And I'm not going to talk about Syracuse just in case there's anybody who out here checking in or catch the moment. We just lost to Bryant, Syracuse basketball, Jimmy Boeheim. We got to have some conversations. Maybe it might be time to start. We lost to Cortland and Bryant in the same season. It's only 6 games. All right, so tangent here. Last thing I'll say in relation to building this network. And again, this was a combination of 10 keys when it comes to building your network, but also working the network, right? It has to do with you. It has to do with the others. It has to do with approach. And I think what's extremely invaluable with this is the intention. The intention and working the network. So when you talk about building it, it's going to be one thing. When you're talking about seeing the fruit of it, it's going to be what you invest that's going to be able to yield the return. So if you don't make an investment into these relationships with a pure motive, and I'm just telling you, over time, everything, the fire is going to reveal. Everything that's hidden will come to light. So be intentional, have the purest of motives, and don't be afraid. And don't be fearful. Hey, shoot your shot, be intentional, and ultimately be successful. So that's what this one is. I appreciate y'all. I wanted to deliver some value, 10 keys in relation to building your network that's going to help you to get great done. I need y'all to make sure y'all check back in with us. We're everywhere. I want you to understand there's some really exciting things that's coming out of DT3 Enterprise. So I'm going to get my shameless plug here. Catch the Moment is live every week, every Wednesday. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. We're on the tube. We're on every platform. We need more downloads. Hey, here's the other thing. Catch Camp is coming to Glendale, Arizona for the Super Bowl. I'm going to start talking more about that. What is the Catch Camp? It is exciting. The Catch Camp is going to be it's going to be a football camp in the morning that really drills down on the basic skills. I'm not going to give the whole pitch today, but in the morning we're going to do ball. In the afternoon we're going to do leadership development and careers in sports. It's going to be dynamic time. We're going to launch it in Arizona around the Super Bowl. So you got the Catch Camp, you got Catch the Moment. And listen, you always got to come check us out at Clean Juice Morristown. Show major love. So I appreciate y'all for checking in week and week out with Catch the Moment podcast. We will check in with you soon.
As the executive producer for this episode, you only talked for 22 minutes. That's not a whole episode. Therefore, I now have to step in and give the rest of the time. So this is bonus time with DT3 Enterprises and Catch the Moment podcast. I'm Burnell Branch. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of people that come up to you. A lot. Hey, David, can I have an autograph? Like all that kind of crap. Or, hey, David, I'm here to support the foundation, but I got this great idea.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to buy llamas, and we're going to raise them in New Jersey, and then we're going to sell their hair for money. Big industry. I think you'd be great for it. Uh-huh. How do you how do you know immediately? Because you always have to make a snap decision. Like, who's not going to be good for your network? Do you find people that align to it? Do you find people that are you looking for a specific type of person to add? Because once they're in your network, you got to maintain it, right? You just talked about that.
Well said. Yeah, I think ultimately it's really about who they are, what they do, and almost like what a spirit or what approach that they have when they're approaching. If of course, if they ask me for information, I get them some kind of information where they can find me, whether it's an email. It's a soft contact, right? And I'd rather put the onus on the individual to prove to me what value that they're bringing, because I'm already bringing value just by virtue of who I am.
Okay.
Right. So I think I've arrived there down the road. So nothing's like a bad thing, meaning, but I also have to to ensure that if you have a vision for where you're heading down the road, that relationship has to make sense. You don't want their goals to deviate from where your plan is. Gotcha. And I think that's something that you have to really consider in that work.
Okay. Now you talked earlier about, just remembering the name, remembering something about somebody's name. Like you, I do meet a lot of people. It's cool. It's great. If somebody has a hard name, like Fufu, you're not going to, ask, can you repeat that one more time? Do you come up with a nickname immediately? Or do you ask, you're asking for
No, I'm going all the way for
See, no, you missed this. Fufu.
Yeah. I want all that. And I'll sit there and take the time for about, for whatever that 1 minute, half a minute, because Because number one, actually, at least in this one engagement, I want to walk away so that they understand that I don't want the nickname.
Yeah.
Because you have a name.
You have a name.
You have a name. And if it's difficult, it's difficult. You know, I'm going to say, whoa, that was a little tricky. A little tricky.
Oh, hold on now, bro.
Yeah.
You got to say it a couple times.
Yeah. But I do want to give the effort.
Okay.
I do want to give the effort as a small pledge of honor.
Excellent.
And just, hey, man, you only get one name. And if they're insistent, then then that's something to consider down the road. But I at least want to give it a try.
I want to give it at least a shot. All right. Last question, at least I think. Environment, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say networking can happen literally anywhere.
Yep.
Somebody comes in to clean juice. You're working. Different environment. You may be able to give 5 minutes instead of the minute and a half.
Yep.
When we went to the Black Enterprise 40 under 40, a lot of people.
Yep.
A lot of opportunities to meet somebody. A lot of, genuine, like, oh, man, I'd be great to talk to him. How do you differentiate? Or how do you even know, like, all right, this person, somebody I really would love to, talk to. Hey, can you give me a second? Like, what is your clock, first off, in your head to really give somebody an honest, genuine time? Because it's not just be like, oh, that's crazy.
Sure.
When you're not listening, you're going to say, oh, that's crazy. Oh, yeah. If they're saying yeah, they're not listening. They've tuned off. Just walk away. All right.
It's possible. Number one, I try not to predetermine anything. Okay. I mean, like, I go in with the best of intentions, with the best of expectations too.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I'm always looking for a point of connection. Yeah. So when it's like I go into the Black Enterprise event not knowing who's going to be there, who's going to be, right? So just so happens the guy who helped me launch Catch the Moment podcast was there.
Yeah, he was.
Right? He's there with one of his clients, and boom. To me, that was my most immediate takeaway. Let me make sure I try to link up with Terry, and we just figure out whatever can be figured out. Yeah. And I don't place a timetable on it. Mm-hmm. And because number one is the opportunities there, I think there's mutual respect, and you want to be engaging with people to depending on who you are and what stage and progression in your life, your pursuits, your interests, your goals, your business, whatever. You want to be aligned with people that are either similar or people where you aspire to be in some measure. Okay. So you want them to be some mutual respect, right? And I think that's the goal when you're looking for those people to engage with somebody that you can learn from, you have mutual respect for, and ultimately we can figure out what the value proposition is.
Excellent, man. All right.
Okay.
This is all literally through the years of you, because no one has this figured out immediately. They just
definitely.
Trial and error, figuring out, listening to other people, seeing master network. I mean, you're good at networking.
I'm decent. Here's real facts is that, you have to have a reason, right? For me, everything ties back to purpose. Yeah. So it's great when you have, access to different places and different types of people. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest things that people can't pay for is access, right?
That's true.
So, everybody wants to be in certain rooms, and it's access. So, but ultimately, I didn't see the value in my younger years because I didn't have the purpose for it. I'm kind of like living out my dreams as an athlete. I'm at the highest level and the best in the game. And of course you want to learn business, but it's nobody coming. They're kind of amazed at what you do, right? And when you don't know anything about business or what your goals are, you don't even know exactly how to ask the question, right? So you have to go through a progression. You do, and then you shall know. But I think the moment that you begin to have a vision, a direction, an interest, a goal, then you can get there.
You're good.
That's my dog.
Can I do a sign off? You want to do a sign off?
No, you do sign off. This is your show now.
First off, it's been my show since I got here. Let's just go ahead and throw that. Look, you messed up. Cover it up. Cover it up.
This is
now look, we like them.
This is the challenge.
We like them, but they don't pay us. So this has been Catch the Moment. You're here with David Tyree. He's the host. I'm Bernard Branch. It really doesn't matter who I am. We're just having fun. All right? Bonus time. Hey, make sure you share, like, subscribe.
Do it.
Appreciate you. Until next time. Bye.